And we should be live for the Steelers Depot Monday live stream here on Monday, November 30th. As always, Dave Bryan is here with me answering any and all of your guys' Steelers questions. And I'm sure you have a whole lot of them based on what's happened in the last couple of hours. But as always, Dave Bryan is here. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What day it is? What day is it? I'm exhausted from doing nothing. I think right now. Boy, what a last hour we have had.
Yeah, so just to recap with you guys the news, although I'm sure you've heard if you're in the stream by now, and then we will begin to answer your questions. Again, be sure to leave them in the chat. Give us a super chat if you want your question guaranteed to be answered and answered immediately. This NFL has postponed again for a third time the Steelers Ravens game, now set for Wednesday at the magical time of 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. Now the Steelers Washington football team game scheduled originally for Sunday, December 6th will get pushed back till Monday, December 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So that is the current state of events in terms of scheduling. So got all that, Dave?
I think so. Most of it, at least.
And it's all, I guess, subject to change, although I think these probably the final changes, hopefully, to the schedule. So a lot of questions, I'm sure, about what's happening and what's going to happen. So we'll jump into things right now. This is from 2 hours ago. This is Colin asking the question. We're scheduled to play on Wednesday. Will this push next game back? Yes, it will, to Monday on December 7th against Washington, 5 p.m. John Pennington asks David Alex, if the Steelers play KC, do you think the secondary can stop or cover Tyreek Hill? I say no. What do you guys think? Yeah, you can stop him. You just can't single him up all game like Tampa Bay did and expect that that's going to work for a 60-minute game. So there is a path to do it, but you just have to have all the intentionality of doing it in order to have a chance at success.
Yeah, you really got to try to limit the amount of man-on-man stuff that you have with him. And if you do have man-on, if you have single high man or two deep man or along those lines, you better make sure your pass rush gets there in a hurry and forces that ball to come out deep. Because if you don't, look, I mean, that offense is built to do exactly what they're doing right now, right?
Hmm.
And you add in Kelsey, you add in. Look, it's just not Tyreek Hill either. They got some good receivers over there too. Sammy Watkins and McCole.
Hardman, yep.
Yeah, Hartman, and I mean they're pretty stacked offensively, and uh, it would be a tough chore for sure. You got to get the pass rush after them. That's part of it.
Absolutely. Next question here. I'll let you address this here, Dave. James Naylor says, wow, the game was pushed back to Wednesday to allow Baltimore time to practice. WTF. Can't wait to hear Dave and Alex talk about this, by the way. Hello, everyone. Hello, James. Yeah, it seems like the NFL will say, that part of the let me mute this here. Partly the reason why they moved this game was the abundance of caution for the COVID stuff, but I feel like the Ravens lobbying to get this game pushed back is probably working at this point, which is frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, look, they're good start. Is that do you have the screensaver up there? Is that what it is?
The image, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
tweeting out
okay.
the link to the stream, so I put up the screensaver for just
Okay.
a
Oh,
moment. So I'll
okay.
come
All
back
right.
here in a sec.
All right. I just want to make sure nothing
Hmm.
going on my end here.
No, you're good.
Yeah, look, they're starting to get some players back too that they would not have had the game,
Hmm.
taking place tomorrow there. So that's obviously advantage for them. We'll see how many more leak out, here in the next day or so. Because look, well, we don't know the total amount of close contacts versus players that tested positive. It doesn't sound like a guy like Lamar Jackson's going to be back right now. But look, obviously getting Ingram and Dotson back's a pretty big start. For them, really changes the complexion of the game. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Look, I mean, they only supposedly had one positive test today, and it's a guy that they don't deem to
Hmm.
really impact.
IR guy,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, right. IR guy. So is there truth to the rumor that or that there's a report floating around that there was an attempted kind of Wildcat strike, if you will. I had to even Google what that meant. Basically, it's a union employee, or union members going on strike without union's approval,
Hmm.
and that sounds like what that they were threatening to do because not having full practices and all like that. it's a mess, and you just had the poor Denver team
Right.
had to play with no quarterback either. So, I mean, does this thing look slanted? Yeah, absolutely,
Mhm.
it does. Does this look kind of manipulated on the part of Harbaugh and the Ravens? Absolutely, it does. But yeah, I keep circling back to the thing too. Here we are, and what is fair in a COVID world right now? Uh, it's just
Sure.
it's unfortunate for the Steelers, obviously.
Yeah, and again, I think anyone that would have the right to be mad is Denver in their situation, considering what they happened at quarterback with Kendall Hinton yesterday. But as we said all along, NFL does not care about fairness; they care about completeness, and that is clearly evident based on their actions this week. David Alex, what 2020 accommodations for COVID do you like and believe the NFL will keep? He references the 16-man practice squads, 3-game IR rule, protected practice squad players. I think they'll keep a lot of that. Maybe not everything. Probably not a special reserve list for illnesses. Although depending on the status of COVID next fall, we'll see. But I think they will keep a lot of the rules that have been implemented over this past year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Look, I mean, we don't even have the vaccine yet, right?
Right. So we could be
You know,
dealing with this next football season. Like there's a strong
right,
possibility of that.
right. I don't see this changing. Obviously, you hope you don't have what's happening now. You would hope by then a good selection of the players, if they deemed it something that they wanted to do to get whatever vaccines out there. I mean, that's way above our pay grade, obviously,
Hmm.
here. But long story short, when it comes to David O's question, yeah, I think this is going to be here. I don't know, at least through the 2021 season. It might, what kind of world do we live in? Is it a pandemic world? What's next after COVID?
Hmm.
Is it? It might be just something that stays in there for a while.
Mike Adesso, crazy times, guys, crazy times. You got that right, Mike. If Danny Smith is healthy, would they have him communicate with Blaine Stewart from a remote location throughout the game? Maybe Canada too. I don't know. My expectation is that that will not be the case. Obviously, he could help communication with preparation for the game, but the game itself, I doubt Smith is communicating with the team. So I think Stewart's going to be flying solo in that regard. Obviously, Mike Tomlin, other assistants could help him with that, but I don't think there'll be any communication from that standpoint with Danny Smith or Matt Canada, both reportedly tested positive for COVID-19. Mark Leslie, hi Dave and Alex. Happy Victory Mondays. And probably had to catch himself. My question is what the heck is going on? Any tips to watching the Steelers when I'm at work on Wednesday? I don't have a great answer for you on that one, Mark, unfortunately. James asking about what time the game is on Wednesday. As Mutated Genome said, 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me scroll down through here. Mutated Genome says, "Have you guys watched any tape on Smallwood? What are his strengths and weaknesses?" Dave, you watched more on Smallwood when they initially signed him than I did, so give us a rundown on what to expect with him. Could he be the extra player elevated, I suppose, as well?
Yeah, look, and we still don't know. The team asked for and received a roster exemption on Kevin Dotson. I think I'm the only one that's reporting that right now.
Hmm.
And technically, I think this team has a, what did we decide? A 51, or yeah, it'd be technically, I guess, a 51 man roster right now. Or or if you want to consider him on roster, you can go the other way, plus one,
Hmm.
just with the exemption there. But uh, there's more transactions coming.
Right.
The question is who. Now, when it comes to Smallwood, look, him, he's kind of scat back like, I guess, if you would say. I mean, he obviously caught a he doesn't have a large selection of explosive plays underneath his belt. Although there were a few of them, I think, that come via the pass. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He obviously can run. To me, I from what I remember on the film study, he hits it fast. He doesn't dilly dally from the time he gets the ball. Obviously, doesn't have a elite speed to the edge. As far as pass pro goes, it looked acceptable to me. Now, if you go back to some of the reports from training camp, there were some reports that he struggled in some of the drills there. I obviously was not privy to see those,
Hmm.
but I view him as a fairly well-rounded back. Heck, be honest with you, I view him as a better back than Jalen Samuels is. Now, measure that however you want to. He's also a lot more experienced than a guy than Anthony McFarland right now. So, he might very well be your second best dressed running back that you have on the roster. Uh, when's the game? Wednesday, Wednesday there. So we'll see.
Yeah, and from a receiving protecting standpoint, he may be your best back. At least maybe as a receiver, probably the best, maybe second best behind Benny Snell. So I think he'll get elevated. At least there's a strong chance of that, and we'll see on Kevin Dotson. But if you include Dotson, they're at 52 right now, so at least one move is coming. If Dotson does not end up getting his exemption reversed and dressing or playing, then they'll have at least two spots to make. So to fill. So we'll see where they go in the next 36 hours. Steeler fan 1933 says, I really hope the Steelers severely punish the Ratbirds on the field on Wednesday. No mercy. Hoping so as well.
Look,
Steel.
we
Go.
talked on the podcast today. It'd be nice to have a 50 burger, but
Yeah.
look, you play to win the game, as Herm Edwards would say. So look, I mean, you more than anything, probably worried about the team's psyche at this point. You know, how are they going to be able to handle this? You know, because this
Right.
is quite, like it or not, this is a distraction, and this is a
Mm-hmm.
distraction on top of a distraction on top of a distraction. You probably have several of them kind of questioning, is it us against the league, and why wouldn't you at this point? So. I understand all the outrageous out there. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at them on Twitter all day long, but you just got to deal with what you can control and move on, and we'll see.
Distractception, you could say, something like that. Steel Pastor, this Wednesday nonsense is really bugging me. Any idea who on the Ravens will be miraculously able to play on Wednesday? It sounds like they will get back at least running backs J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram, two of the first players to went on COVID last Monday. Who else will come back? We're not sure. Could there be others? Certainly. I just don't know the timetable too well for Baltimore right now.
Yeah, well, I'll pull that. I'll pull the timetable up while
Okay.
you take some questions here, and we'll talk quickly about that.
Ken's asking about playoff seating. He can't get an answer to, but I don't see your question yet, Ken. If you asked it later, then I can address it then. Charlie asking if the Steelers will be able to handle the Chiefs if they meet up in the playoffs. Sure, they can. I mean, the Chiefs will be by far the toughest opponent, obviously, but can they beat them? Sure. Would I pick the Steelers to win that game? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not at this point, but we'll cross that bridge if and when we come to it.
You got to get there first.
Yeah,
You know, both teams got to get there first. I know it's easy to do right now because these are easily, I think, on paper and on tape, the two best teams right now. But what all is going to happen in the next 5 weeks? I mean,
yeah,
injury wise, COVID wise. I mean, I understand why people want to look that far ahead, but don't forget they got a game Wednesday, and then they got another game to follow in Monday, and then a kind of a short week against Buffalo there. So
hmm,
so much can change, right? I mean, like I said, I understand the want to kind of look ahead like that. And look, I made sure I did not miss that game against Tampa on Sunday because I wanted another look against what's regarded as a fairly good defense in the Buccaneers, just to have that in my scouting memory. But we'll see. Right now, it would be hard to, I think, pick the Steelers in that game, regardless of where the game's played at too, because there is no home field advantage really
true,
technically. You know, no crowd or anything like that until somebody shows that they can. And other than the Raiders show that they can knock off the Chiefs, I would think that you have to consider the Chiefs a favorite of some kind. All right, here's your timeline for you, Alex.
okay,
Brandon Williams, it looks like, went on COVID on the 23rd. Now, being as there's no talk about him coming back, uh, I'm going to assume, and that's dangerous, that he's going to miss the game still, that maybe he tested positive. There's already the report of Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins evidently going to be ready. They were on the 23rd. So obviously as close contact guys, they're back. The next set would be, it looks like Pernell McPhee on the 24th. And you would think there's not enough time for him,
right,
nor is there enough time for the guys on the 25th, which would have been Calais Campbell, Patrick McCarry, and Matt Skura, assuming those guys were close contact guys, I would think. And once again, that's dangerous because if they went on the 25th, and we're talking about how many more, I don't know, maybe there is a chance those
right.
guys get cleared. I mean, what's the amount of days? Five days?
It could be as little as 5 for most of these guys. It's around 10, but as I think Matthew Marksy has pointed out, close contact starts not when you get put on the list, but your just time of your last close contact. Now, I'm sure there isn't a big difference there because they were just coming off of the game, but if there's even a day of difference there where someone went on the 24th, but their last contact was 23rd, then they could theoretically play by Wednesday's game. That's the case with Dobbins and Ingram and potentially Brandon Williams. So we'll see. They could get those guys back and maybe one or two more.
And as Alex and I talked, I had a really good discussion the other day on the podcast about, where's the NFL transparency here?
Hmm.
Boy, how great does that podcast episode look
Yeah,
about right now?
especially with everything that just happened. Yeah.
Right, because we have dates here because media people put them out and all like that, but we don't have exact dates of when these guys tested, when these guys were considered close contact, and yada yada. So that leaves a lot of gray area where it's real dangerous for us to say, okay, they're not going to have that guy or they're not going to have that guy. So we can guess, but I mean, if you're happy with guesses, there you go.
Exactly. Steel Pastor says, "Thank you, Steelers Depot, for your patience and flexibility. Thank you guys for being here. Again, ask your questions in the chat for Dave and I to answer. We're here till 8 p.m. Brenton717 says, DNA, thanks for the great content. What, if any, are your predictions for the penalties the Ravens might receive for causing this mess? I imagine, as Dave said, it'll be similar to what happened in Tennessee, probably even greater, where they're going to be fined heavily. I would expect a loss of at least one draft pick. How high that pick would be, I'm not quite sure, but I think it will be a relatively severe punishment, if you
Yeah,
consider that at
I
least
yeah
severe.
I would too. I would think so.
David O asking if the Steelers will be able to stop the Ravens' running game. We'll see. Obviously, the Ravens' offensive line is still going to be undermanned in this one, especially along the interior, and so they'll have to do a better job in the trenches. Of course, Pittsburgh unlikely to have Stephon Tuitt in this game either, so that will hurt them. But that will be the main goal: is to shut down that Ravens rushing attack. I would not mesh charge RG3. I would play a little bit more conventional style. RG3 obviously not the threat that the Lamar is, and the mesh charge just really has not produced the results overall. It stopped Lamar, it stopped the quarterback, but it's not stopped the Ravens' run game, which is your overall goal. So I would do something different this time around. Let's see here. Sean, American Patriot says, as Tomlin said about having to play 13 straight games, we don't care. We will play whenever and wherever. That that message and mantra has certainly been tested this week. The one LC7, do you think we could get to it or Connor back? Connor, no, because the report is he tested positive. To it, we don't know for sure if he tested positive. My assumption, and again, these are speculatory and I don't take with a grain of salt. My assumption is that he did test positive, and so he would not be able to play if that's the case. If he was just close contact, there is a chance he could return, although I think those odds are pretty low, though Bugs came off, so I guess they do exist.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see. Look, we don't know about Hawkins or
mhm,
if indeed he tested positive. I mean, obviously there's a report out there on James Conner testing positive. There is heavy speculation that Tua did as well. I still don't think. Well, the team obviously hasn't confirmed any of that,
right.
and I don't think they will. But so there you go. I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these guys just watching. Look, we'll know for sure because the daily transaction sheet lets you know which guys come off and whatnot. And the Ravens obviously had what, four come off today, right?
But also put four back on at the same
Right.
time.
Put
But yeah.
put put four on. Right.
Sean American Patriot also says the game is at 3:45 because NBC wanted to show the lighting of the Rockefeller Christmas tree at night and not football. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Micah Desso also asking about Tuit. We'll see. Not particularly optimistic. Vegas Sloth says if all the anteaters die, who has to eat the ants? I assume Pittsburgh. The NFL will make the Steelers eat all the ants. I don't know how that question got thrown in there. Um, Doma, I don't even know how to say that, but the question is, should we pretend to be surprised when the game is postponed once again to make a Week 18 game? You would hope not. I mean, obviously the virus seems to be under control in Baltimore right now, and they have their practice time that they will beg the NFL for. So I would assume this is the last postponement, but who the heck knows at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good luck with that. uh,
and that's fair.
uh, Look, back when I was in sales, they used to always tell us, "Ain't nothing sold until it's paid for." Well,
Hmm.
ain't no game played until it's played.
Yeah.
Especially in this. I'm tired of guessing at it now. I'm not even going to take a shot at it anymore because uh, here we are.
Steel Pastor says, "Is the start time confirmed?" Yes, the NFL has confirmed the start times. That
Yeah, we
is,
got the release on that.
what is
Yeah.
that? 3:40. I'm getting it tight. Yeah, 3:40 Wednesday against Baltimore, and 5 p.m. against Washington on December 7th. Correct. I'm getting myself mixed up at this point.
Yeah, I've got the right here in my email box here,
Okay.
direct from the league. 3:40 on NBC on Wednesday, December the 2nd is Ravens and Steelers now. And week 13, Monday, December 7th, Washington at Pittsburgh. Kickoff time 5 o'clock.
What
So
channel is that?
that
ESPN.
is to be determined.
Okay, so we do not know the channel for that yet. We know what
Right.
it was supposed to be on.
Well, I know ESPN has the Bills and 49ers
Okay.
at 8:15.
I mean, was it supposed to be on Fox initially or
That was
CBS?
a Fox game
Okay, you would
originally, I
would
believe.
imagine Fox would get to keep it, not lose the game entirely, but we'll see.
Right. But the release says to be determined.
Okay. Andres, hey guys, do we have a quality control guy or pass run game coordinator, and what exactly are those positions? Good questions. In terms of the pass run game, I mean, basically the Steelers offensive line coaches kind of function like a run game coordinator. So Mike Munchak previously, and now Sean Surratt or Randy is a big component of the passing game. They all work together, obviously. In terms of quality control, no one has that title anymore for Pittsburgh, but you do have some assistant coaches that have worked their way up the ladder. Guys like Blaine Stewart and Denzel Martin. Some of those have come over from the scouting side. Matt Sims as well, and their job can be different week to week and team to team, but they're just kind of helping out wherever they're needed, occasionally doing different special projects, some pre-advanced scouting for, opponents 2, 3 games ahead of time and stuff like that. So it's hard to give you a specific answer because it does vary. It's a pretty vague term, but there you go. Let's see. Trying to find some other questions here. Jeremy Coakley, with these games being so close together, do you expect to see more rotation on the D line? How many snaps do you think Bugs gets? How will they handle running back rotation? Who's a better pass blocker? All good questions. I think you will see more of a rotation there for sure between Wormley and Mondo and Bugs, maybe a little bit of Carlos Davis handle the running back rotation. Tomlin said Snell's the featured runner. We'll see how truthful that is. I think obviously you'll see McFarland play more. I would potentially use a guy like Smallwood in some more passing situations if he gets elevated. And as Dave, as you pointed out, maybe even just run some of that 0-1 personnel where you just don't have a running back on the field.
Right. And look, I don't think we can 100% guarantee that Bugs will be active.
True.
Uh, it's going to be interesting to see how these act. Look, they brought up activated Brooks today,
Hmm.
so that's one guy you got to figure is going to be dressed, right? Uh, uh, you obviously got. You would think that Dotson's on course right now to dress at the very least. His exemption will probably go away here in another 24 hours, and then he'll officially be on the 53. So that's Dotson. You'll have have in uniform. Brooks, you would think is going to dress now. Uh, who else? If you bring up Smallwood, you're probably going to address him.
Hmm.
So you already had five defensive linemen, and normally in a normal situation they only dress five, right? So
Right.
there's an outside chance that Bugs does not dress for this game still.
Yeah, we'll just have to see exactly what the lay of the land is because, as we said earlier, the roster moves are not done yet. So until they are, it's hard to really, you know, peg down exactly who's going to dress and who's not going to dress. And even then, there'll be certainly some uncertainty to it.
I was
Key.
all prepared to write up my inactive guesses tonight.
Nope, big pause on those have also been
Right,
postponed for sure.
right.
Keaton Prince saying talking about the Steelers app. DJ2 Bugs wasn't even getting snaps when healthy. True, but with two it down, then that may open the door again. Charlie Doyle, what will the Steelers do about Ben's huge cap hit next year, which I think is 41 million? You are fully expecting an extension, correct, Dave? For
Oh
Ben?
yeah, I wrote a
Yeah.
big old article about that. If he wants to research, I'll see if I can find it real quick, and you can put pull it up there.
Okay. Play Dead 0112 has a super chat for 99 cents. Thank you so much. Message was retracted. So again, if you want a super chat, that'll guarantee that we address your question because we do have a ton of people here, 128. So thank you guys for being here with Dave and I. We're here for another half hour or so. But if you want to have a super chat, that is the best way to have your question be answered immediately and guaranteed for it to be answered in the first place. Be sure to like the stream if you do not want a super chat. Just helps get more people here in the chat. All right, let me scroll
I
back up. Oh, go ahead.
I I just sent you a link to that.
All right, what's the title of? I'll just search it on here instead of doing the whole Twitter thing. What's the
The
title?
title of it is "Looking Ahead at two." Just type in "Looking Ahead at 2021."
Okay, and this is about Ben and his
Right,
extension, and yeah, certainly one that's a worthwhile read about Ben's future with the team. But he will not be cut, like unlike some ESPN analysts might speculate.
right.
All right, so I'll have this kind of scroll through it here as we answer some more questions. Uh, Hugh Z says only benefit to the Wednesday game is that it is now 9 a.m. Australian time. Let's go Steelers. Hey, there's a silver lining. Can appreciate that optimism. Ben S says we might be able to build a good chip on shoulder narrative though, even undefeated. So that's a silver lining, I suppose. Another one. Any little bit of motivation certainly helps. Page 440. Do you feel it fair of the league to postpone the game to Wednesday and get players back that the Ravens wouldn't have otherwise had Tuesday night? No. Short answer. I do not believe that is fair, and I'm sure the Denver Broncos fans and team agrees. Is the NFL against the idea of the 18th week? This is from Eric McDay. Certainly, they will avoid it any way possible, and that is clearly evident based on what's happened this week.
They're
Um,
not going to burn any money. They're
mhm,
not. They this thing. They'll keep moving it back as part of week 12. How am I surprised it's gone to Wednesday now?
I
Absolutely,
am.
but
Yeah.
uh, they're going to do everything in their power to not get into that week 18 thing.
It is a last resort. Josh Wolf, was Stewart positive test or close contact? We don't know for sure. The belief is that he was a positive test, but again, we do not know with any confirmation.
And the team's not going to confirm that. And
Right.
on the daily report, that the NFL puts out, it just says whether or not the player was placed on the reserve COVID list. It does not say test positive or anything along those lines. So, do we think that's the case? Yes, obviously. And then, there's obviously outside media reports on like James Conner and what Danny Smith and all like
hmm
that. But the team is probably not going to confirm or deny that.
Exactly. Tyrone Smith with the super chat. Thank you so much, Tyrone. What are the chances the Steelers are penalized for their mini outbreak? None. I think the Steelers actually did a great job of handling this thing, ensuring it did not become a Baltimore or Tennessee like situation where it became this massive spread within the locker room. It was contained. Players will get sick. Players will test positive. That is just the nature of life right now. But Pittsburgh seemed to do a great job of containing this thing because at most, what, two players tested positive, maybe, three, I guess, at most this week, with two at Hawkins and Connor. So I think Pittsburgh did a great job of following protocol and keeping guys safe.
At least that we know until the next test come in. I mean,
True.
it's I mean, it's a daily thing right now. But no,
hmm
I wouldn't think. At least right now, there doesn't look to be any negligence on as far as protocol goes with the Steelers right now.
Right, and that seems to be the trend and most important. So good job there for Pittsburgh. Sean also says the best Steelers podcast on YouTube. Thanks, Alex and Dave. I will have invested over 2 hours listening to you guys today. Thank you, Sean, for the podcast, I assume, and for our live stream. Let me scroll back up here to where the questions were at from earlier. Let me scroll down here. A lot of people obviously upset about what's transpired, and I don't blame you guys one bit. Mike Spencer, what are the largest fines the Ravens can face here? There are limits. I think it's maybe like $1 million for the organization, but I don't know for sure what those are off the top of my head, and also if that changes at all given the COVID landscape of things. Um, I'm trying to scroll back up because every time I get a new chat, it kind of scrolls my thing back down. Da, 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 da. After Dave's percentage of this game happening on Thanksgiving, I'm taking all of Alex's picks going forward. Oh, that's a bad decision, Mark, because I'm as wrong as anybody. I think Dave's doing better with the picks this year. So there you go. Double HH, their best backs running behind, mediocre blocking, and no Lamar. Steelers losing two. It hurts a bit, but I still like us in the trenches. I do as well, but obviously the first matchup, Pittsburgh lost that trench battle overall on both sides of the football, so that does have to change this time.
What's the
Uh,
weather supposed to be like on Wednesday now? It's
that's a good
supposed to snow
question.
on Tuesday.
Right, let's see what my weather app says. 40 degrees, partly cloudy, so snow should be out by Wednesday. It'll be chilly, obviously. Going to be about 38 degrees at 5. So it'll be chilly, but clear, but mostly clear skies and some wind though, but no snow. So that's good.
All right.
Let me scrolling back through the comments. Thank you guys so much. So 146 here in the chat. Really appreciate it. Rob Co. So why did the Steelers go back to covering receivers with linebackers? Didn't we already go through this with LJ Fort on Keenan Allen? Yeah, that was frustrating. I didn't know there were some injuries there, but I hope those adjustments get made. Micah does so. Hey guys, with all the changes happening, will these affect your podcast schedule next week or so? I don't think so, right, Dave? No changes
I
for the
mean,
podcast.
we'll have a show Wednesday, but normally that Wednesday show is looking ahead at a beat writer,
Mm-hmm.
for so obviously I think what will end up happening is I don't know, we'll have a Washington beat writer either on the Friday show or the Monday show, and then all this is, pending what happens here in the next couple days, assuming this game goes off okay and all. But we'll still have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will still be the schedule. I don't see any reason to change that right
Right,
now.
right. David Kapoor says, wait, Wednesday now? Yep, game is now Wednesday, David. J Dub, would you rather see McFarland or Snell take most of the snaps? I would rather see a rotation, but I'm excited to see more McFarland, and I want to let him kind of get an opportunity, but also Snell, because as you said earlier, Dave, he's kind of a warm up the tires kind of running back, and so this is a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, that's one plus in this is that if they use them the way I think they're going to use them, is you would obviously hope that he gets a 20 something, at least 20 something carries in the game, and as we've seen so far, which has obviously been limited, he's kind of back that seems to warm up. Eighth, ninth, 10th carry along in those lines. Now, obviously, the big concern with Benny Snell dating back into early this season is him holding on to the football, right?
Hmm.
So that's got to be priority number one there. So uh, we're gonna. I think this is don't make no mistake about it, this is a huge opportunity for Benny Snell, and regardless of who's on the field for the Ravens defensive line wise and all like that, he really needs a strong showing here in this game, regardless of who plays. Because let's face it, when you look at James Conner and his situation past this season, and you look at that running back room as a whole with Jalen Samuels and all. He needs to stake a claim that he can maybe be a feature back, and obviously he got a vote of confidence from Mike Tomlin the other day during the podcast. So this is a big game for Benny Snell, and I'm excited to
Hmm.
see what happens for him. And yeah, I do think you get McFarland and Smallwood if he's elevated some touches in this as well too. But I would expect most of them to go to Benny Snell.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and certainly want to see Snell continue to excel in short yardage situations. That's kind of been his role this year. Third and short, goal line type stuff. Three of his rushing touchdowns this year have all come from 1 yard out. So that's an area where this team has struggled, and hopefully Snell can improve upon that against Baltimore. Couple of super chats here, a lot of them actually. Thank you guys so much. Let's go through them. The one LC7 says, "Dave, do we have to wait until we win the Super Bowl to get a face for the voice? You are a funny guy. Keep up the good work."
I look like a catcher's mitt with eyes.
Oh, Dave, you always say that. I know that's
I
not
got I
true.
got a younger pitcher float, a couple of younger pitchers I think floating around, several younger pitchers floating around out there. I just we'll see.
Let's win that Super Bowl first, and
Yeah.
have that good problem to have. Brian says, just dropping by, keep up the content. Peace. Thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate the super chat. Very kind of you. And Pierre Devate says, Pierre Miller loved the hilarious tweets after the snooze broke. Dave and Alex Raven Scott Goodell in their back pocket is the optics. It does not look good for the NFL. It definitely feels like a double standard, hypocrisy, and some inconsistency clearly for the NFL based on their decision making.
Just win the game. That's the
Yeah,
best. That's the
best
best.
here.
Best response. Period. Win the game.
Ken Cranston had a question about playoff seeding. We'll try to answer it. I'm not an expert on the topic, though. If the playoffs go to 16 teams because of an week 18 game, can a team with a losing record potentially knock out an actual seeded team because of a makeup game? How does this work? Can a team with a losing record potentially knock out an actual seeded team because of a makeup game? How does this work? I mean, I guess I don't know
I mean, I would
exactly.
think I would think it would go through win percentages first, right?
Yeah,
Just plain old winning percentages. I'm not sure I fully understand the question there, but I mean, it's going to go by win percentages first.
right.
And I kind of. I mean, look, they're going to play all these games one way or the other.
Hmm.
Every team's going to play 16 games. Period.
Yeah.
How they do it is yet to be seen. I mean, I'll be surprised if they don't. Obviously, I mean, nothing's guaranteed. Obviously, right now as we've seen, but uh, I can't envision a team that had a game, quote unquote, canceled uh, that cancellation and them not having a chance to win the game being a reason why they wouldn't make the playoffs, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, they would all play 16 games ultimately, even if it is a Week 18 situation. Obviously, if you have an NFC East kind of type thing where, a team with a losing record is winning the East, and then that, some wild card team doesn't make it because, they were 10-6 and lose to a 7-9 NFC East team, that kind of situation is a standard thing, but not anything in particular with an 18 game schedule, if all that makes sense. Um, Pierre Devante says after the fungibility of the schedule and COVID minutia, Dave says you play to win the game.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely. I'm a quote machine, right? I
a
mean,
lot of
I'm
Davisms.
a cliche machine when it comes to that. Boy, what did you think about evidently who is it with the Athletic now? Used to be with CBS, does the mocks. We I'm
No,
drawing a blank on him.
I don't
Uh,
know. CBS, the Athletic.
yeah,
What
you
was the con?
do.
I mean, I'm sure I do,
The
but
guy that releases the draft rankings every year. Oh, I'm
not.
drawing a blank on his
Yeah,
name.
I
Anyway, he has the Steelers mocking the running back to Clemson in the first
mm,
round, out of Clemson in the first
yeah,
round.
don't think that's gonna happen. But that's your November mock for you. And that was a super chat from Pierre, by the way. So thank you again. Really appreciate the couple of super chats that you've sent Dave and I. All right, back to some more questions here. Scrolling back up as I'm getting pretty good at here. Shweta Cole says, "Will they even be able to get COVID test results back by 3:40 p.m. on Wednesday? I thought the earliest time they got results back was 4 p.m." That's a good point. I mean, they'll test Wednesday, but just like the Sunday games, traditionally they don't get those results back until Sunday night or Monday morning. So they'll get what tomorrow's batch of tests, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, but the Wednesday's test they probably will not get results of until after the Steelers Ravens game.
Well, once again, it goes back to what we said about the whole transparency thing,
Hmm.
and we're guessing here. We think that is what you just stated is the correct instance there. Uh, but it'd be nice to have some easy report to follow along with, to knowing when this stuff is happening
Right.
instead of
Well,
just relying on a lot of this stuff being passed on to the media.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I say that because with Vance, whenever he tested positive, he played in that game, the first game against Baltimore, I believe it was, or whatever game it was, and they didn't get the results back until the next day or that night. And so that's how I assume things were kind of working. And that's how I assume they still are working basically 24 hours to get your test results back.
Dane Brugler, I should have known that. Been buying
Okay. Dane Brugler.
Reading Dane's stuff for years there.
He's with
He
the
has
Athletic now? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he's been with the
Okay.
Athletic for at least I think 2 years now.
Okay.
Travis Etienne, he has mocked to the Steelers at number 32. Somebody gonna have to come peel me out off the rope here if that happens. Look, how many running backs around the league that were starters at the beginning of the year have missed at least like 2 games this year?
Hmm.
You know,
A lot of them, for
I mean,
sure.
it just
Yeah.
goes to show you. Look what the kid in Jacksonville's doing, and
Hmm.
look, I mean, the Nick Chubbs are out there, the Derrick Henrys are out there, but good luck if you don't get one of those.
Yeah, for sure. With all the other needs this team's going to have come draft time, running back is not going to be. It's going to be on their list potentially, but not that high on their list for sure. RJ Brooks says Steelers are the most underrated team. Michael Jackson.
I wouldn't say they're underrated. I don't think they're underrated right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him that. Although Michael Jackson also asked, why isn't the media more bullish on this 10-0 squad? I think most people think Kansas City is still the team to beat, and that's the framing of the whole conversation, right or wrong.
Yeah, but you'll be hard pressed to find a ranking with the Steelers not at number 2. So,
Right, but I guess most people would say, "Well, put the undefeated team at number one," is the
mm.
counter argument, at least. Let's see here. Mark Miller, can you imagine John Facenda and NFL Films would sound describing the 2020 season? Man, we need some guys like Facenda today. Just don't have the Steve Sables and all those guys of the world.
The autumn wind is a pirate. Boy, that was a good time to grow up back then
Yeah.
with the NFL films and stuff like that. Stuff that as a young kid just to hear to hear the to see the visuals and the sound, that kind of sound, that grandiose kind of sound to it really would captivate you as a young
Hmm.
boy,
I bet.
and yeah, John Facenda had a heck of a voice doing those.
Rosa says Pittsburgh is bad. That's all the comment that is. All right, thank you, Rosa, for that comment. Mark Leslie, does the extra rest days for some of the players injured make up for the distraction of this game keep getting pushed back? No, I mean it is good to have that rest for Juju and Hayden, but I would have rather played the game on Tuesday or Sunday as opposed to letting those guys rest up for another day or two. Just a mess this
Yes,
week.
yeah, sort of mini, not really bye week, if you will, kind of sort of no. But within that, I'm just more. I would be more concerned with just the creature of habit in a lot of these guys, right?
Right, that's a big thing.
The mentality. Look, you gear up to do this on a certain day before a game, and then you get in your mind, okay, the game's moved. I got to adjust my schedule. Like I normally can have a dessert on this. Just the little things
Hmm.
that we don't see. Some of the mentalities. I think uh, that would be my biggest fear. Obviously, not knowing what goes on behind closed doors with a lot of these guys.
Right. Creatures of habit, athletes are, football players are, professionals are. When that gets disrupted to this degree, it really does mess with you. And even Eric Ebron was half joking, I think, on Twitter over the weekend about can he have this adult beverage? I think he was tweeting about, and, just knowing, based on the schedule, just how you want to kind of live your life and prepare for this game on and off the field. Russ Obenstein, what's up, guys? Just got home from knee replacement. Are we ready to whip the Ravens? Russ, hope you're feeling better. And hopefully, if they can get you a win, Russ, as you are on the mend. Randy Nestor, does anyone know when Stephon Tuitt can be activated? Is he positive or just close contact? We don't know. The belief is he did test positive, but we do not know that. So if he is positive, he will not be able to get activated for a little while longer. If he's close contact, there could be a chance he would play against Baltimore, but I think that those odds are still pretty low. Paul Scherf, imagine what happens if there is an outbreak during the playoffs. This whole thing is foobar. Yeah, it's all messed up, Paul, and that is certainly a pretty bad scenario for the NFL. I think at the very least, when you get the postseason started, you go into bubble mode to whatever degree that is. We'll see, but you got to probably change the approach for the playoffs. That's my interpretation. Arturo says, "Is there any chance Tua plays Wednesday? If he's close contact, then he could, but probably not. Don't expect it, Arturo." Lucky 1729. Chances of us going 16-0. I'm just focused on Baltimore whenever this game gets played, but there's a chance. Obviously, I mean there is a chance.
There's a chance until they get beat, but look, I think the odds are against them. I mean, history says it is,
Right.
but I mean, this is a good team. This is obviously the tough. You get through this game with Baltimore, all right, and let's say look, I think the early line, we'll see how it changes, was 10 points being favored over Washington, which that's just the bookies and the handicappers what they think of the game there. You get past that, then you get a tough Buffalo team, and then I mean you're getting into a little bit tougher games there, coming off of a stretch where it's kind of taxing to get through. So I put out on Twitter earlier today, boy, if this team goes undefeated at this point, I think Mike Tomlin gets Coach of the Year for 2020, 2021, and 2022. Obviously joking, but the magnitude of having to navigate all that this team has had to navigate through this season, just enormous, right?
Hmm.
So look, they're a good team, and if they stay healthy, they're going to definitely have a chance at running the table here.
Yeah, well said. The last style bender. Should they double team Chase Young next week or let Villanueva go 1-on-1? I don't
Well,
know.
you obviously can't double team every down,
Right,
So
and Washington has some good pass rushers. Monty, actually, I think Young is like fourth on the team in sacks. I mean, you have now he's been more productive than the sack numbers alone show, but they got Montez Sweat and veteran Ryan Kerrigan, Tim Settle, and Chase Young, so they got a lot of pass rushers to worry about. And it's harder to double team someone on the left side because usually your tight end is on the right side, so there's a challenge there as well. Jonathan Mason, hey guys, can y'all give a quick reminder of your background and then how you ended up doing Steelers Depot? Dave, want to give a short fun fact over
oh
there?
Lord, I've done it all. I mean, what haven't I done?
Okay.
Been in sales. I mean, been spent some time in some restaurants early on in life, sales. Done a lot of real estate stuff for myself for a while. Uh, Obviously not college educated, and was able to break free of the free world by the time I was 40. So there you go.
And I college went to Clarion for communication. Dave. You found me, I guess it would have been. Yeah, you found me, and then we linked up, and rest is history.
There you go.
Pierre Devate, 3 hour podcast on Friday with Washington beat writer. Friday podcast could be legendary. Take my money, Dave and Alex. Yeah, we may push 3 hours with how this thing's going.
Boy, we're going to be so worn out trying to get the turnaround done now. You know,
Uh,
it was already going to be
I
tough.
know.
Having the game Thursday and then Sunday, and then now obviously, with the game Wednesday. We put your non-sleeping shoes on.
OBM, what do you think about the games being postponed with no Ravens players being fined? I mean, the Ravens will get penalized, not individually, but the organization will get fined and probable loss of draft picks. So we'll see what the punishments are and go from there. Haters MD, hello Alex and Dave. The saga continues. It does. Would you rather see it played on Tuesday or yesterday? Do you feel this latest move is strictly to accommodate Baltimore, or is it safety related? Great work. NFL will say it's safety related, but I think this game should be played Tuesday. The outbreak in Baltimore has stopped. That's been pretty clear cut based on no positive test results today. They should be playing tomorrow, but the NFL is following the Ravens' request.
I would expect more to come out about what all transpired today. I would like to learn more. I would like to hear quotes from players about kind of threatening a wildcat strike, if you will. Why wouldn't they go on record with such, right?
Yeah. Well, even if they
You
wanted
know,
to strike, then they strike. Then the NFL does not get to be dictated to. You
right?
know.
I mean, there was obviously look the league. They know they got the league in a situation here. The
I'm.
league's the league has too much money to lose to not kind of cower down to a request. Now, up until today, it was easy to follow along maybe with the wellness and the safe being. Now, look, you can sort of, people ain't gonna like this. You can sort of make an argument. I mean, they haven't been able to practice the conditioning. They're worried about their claim is that they're worried about their own health standpoint from not being able to physically
Hmm.
practice these last several days, right? You know,
Right.
and that would be the crux of their argument in this, is that, oh, there goes player safety. You want us to show up in a stadium now, warm up 90 minutes before game time, and go after not having any on the field practices since God knows when.
Right.
They've done walkthroughs and all like that. So if there's any bit of argument on their side that makes sense, it's that, because obviously the league did shut them down, right? And then the league told
Hmm.
them to go home, however quick into this afternoon.
Right. Pretty early. I think they basically got
Right.
there. Then we're told to go home.
So if they have any stretch of an argument, I know people are not liking to hear this, but it's my job to kind of present, to look at both sides. It would be the fact that they have not had any practices, and that players are taking issue with that aspect of the safety issue. So now that all of you are throwing tomatoes at your YouTube machine.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna go over well in the chat, but I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I don't know. It's just frustrating overall. Lil Rammy 45. Will I win my game because I need 30 points and have Metcalf and Sanders left? I don't like your odds there. Depending on how your league is structured, I don't like your odds of winning this week, Lil Rammy. Chris H. Do you know if Lamar Jackson can come back in time versus the Cowboys? Besides pushing this game back to get the running backs back, it may also help Jackson only miss one game. I don't know about Dallas, potentially, but I don't know. But he will not play against Pittsburgh. DJ Yag, are the Steelers scared of this Washington defense? Scared? No, but Washington, I think, has one of the more underrated defenses in football. So,
I think they're probably one of the most underrated teams. Obviously, one of the most probably in that division right now, and
hmm.
in the NFC East. And then look, there was a lot of things they put down on tape, and yeah, it was against Dallas. But I mean, I'll watch that game, and uh, I think they're a better team with Alex Smith at quarterback than any quarterback they've had under
Hmm.
center this year. And you and I are both Scary Terry fans. I think the running back they got back there is doing a tremendous job, and they seem to be able to get out to the quarterback a little bit as well too. And those are kind of all the things
Hmm.
that make you competitive. If they stay healthy, it's probably going to be a decent game.
Yeah, I think so. Joseph Anderson, great work on reporting. Thank you, Joseph. The last style bender, their front seven is nasty, and Kerrigan is on the bench, so stacked. Yeah, it's a good front overall. Chris W says, I've got a feeling Pittsburgh go into the Super Bowl. Let's hope so, Chris. Um, Jeremy Coakley, where do you rank the 2020 teams versus Ben's '06 and '09 Super Bowl winning teams? Let's let the season play out, Jeremy, and then we can kind of probably better rank it because how they finish this year probably really is going to be a good gauge for where you want to rank this group. Um,
I mean, the old five team, they had to get in by the skin of their teeth, right?
right? Yeah,
You know,
six seed wildcard team.
you know,
Nine and
and
seven that
then
year, right? 9-7 they went. I think so.
yeah,
Was it ten
yeah.
and six? Anyway, six seed. Yeah, had them on the table. Jason Apricot, keep up the great work. Thank you, Jason. 10 more minutes, Dave and I. So be sure to ask your questions here before we end today's
Hey,
stream.
they 2005 season they won 11-5,
Okay. Well,
right?
but the six seed,
But they were wild card, right?
right? Okay. Well, either way, yeah. I mean, that was just
They
unprecedented
they
odds to
were
go.
the sixth team. They were the sixth seeded team at 11-5.
Mm. I don't. I was thinking they were worse than that for some reason because they went on that big losing streak, then kind of rattle off a couple of wins. What beat the Bears, the Lions, and the season.
The Bengals won the division at 11-5 record as well too. They had the
Okay,
tiebreakers and all.
gotcha. I just had something and I just lost where I was looking at here. The last Stylebender jokes. It's a trap game. All these games are trap games for sure. Also, by the way, we will not be doing the live stream next Monday, considering the game will be occurring during next Monday at 7 o'clock. So just a heads up there. No live stream next week. It not looking like it. Mike Adesso, I predict the NFL punishment to Ravens should not be awarding them any comp picks this upcoming draft. Were they scheduled to get any in the first place? I don't know, but that's an interesting point there, Mike. Devin Snowden, I don't have a lot of faith in Benny Snell. What choices do we have at running back? Not a ton. It's Snell, it's McFarland, and Smallwood because Connor's out, Jalen Samuels is out, and Trey Edmonds is on IR. Let's see. Jesse Jackson, if the Steelers have to play on Wednesday, why at 3:40 wouldn't 8 be better? That's because of the Christmas tree lighting, and NBC does not want it to be a night game. So there you go there. So the Broncos deserve a practice with their receiver at quarterback. That's a fair point. I'm sure Broncos fans are mad. David O, loving the train horn. It is the fire whistle, actually. But all sorts of sounds over here. Um, and can Pitt push the game back for Tuitt by any chance? I don't think so. And I just want this game to be played at this point. I don't even care who's playing in it right now. Did Tuitt test positive? This is from Mike Ruiz. We do not know. That is the belief, but again, we do not know. And Haters MD says, "Man, that burns me up." The NFL opined to this request. It just contradicts what happened in Denver. Yes, it's only a 1 day extension, but still ridiculous. I hear you, haters. That has been the most frustrating aspect of things for me. Eduardo Ruiz also says, "Go Steelers" in all caps. Let me scroll back up here because I'm at the bottom of the chat for any other questions. A little rambling. We answered your question about Metcalf and Sanders. I don't like your odds. Eduardo also says, "Love your content." Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments that I do want to touch on from earlier in the chat? I can't find anything right now. Dave, any other final thoughts about the Ravens game?
No, just stay tuned because there's obviously we think a few more transactions coming on the Steelers side, and we're going to be watching like the rest of everybody and seeing how many of these guys the Ravens get off of the list here. So uh, that's the biggest thing I think we look forward to now is in addition to making sure this game goes off now on Wednesday is who's going to be playing in it once again. Outside of Bugs who got activated today, and Kevin Dotson who has a roster exemption, those two guys coming off. We don't think the only other one I would think with a maybe a chance of being a close contact guy would be Hawkins. I would think,
Mm-hmm.
but once again, the team does not Obviously, I think a lot that this has to do with maybe HIPAA or whatnot, but the team's never going to, at least the Steelers are not going to confirm or deny a positive test on a player like that. Sure, it was easy to figure out with Vance McDonald, and Mike Tomlin said as much without he confirmed without confirming. And
Hmm.
then obviously you had the media reports on James Conner and all, but those are media reports. Nobody from the Steelers or James Conner have come out and said I tested positive on this. So,
Right.
with not having an official transparency from the NFL and a timeline on this, and being the first year kind of covering this kind of thing, we there's a lot of guessing that goes on this. So we'll see when it comes to especially players on the Ravens side.
Got more questions coming in. Also, a super chat from Eduardo Ruiz, 99 cents. Thank you so much. That is very kind of you to donate there, Eduardo. Uh, Zone or man versus Chiefs. This is from Jonathan Mason. Zone, man against Mahomes, has not proved effective for really any defense.
And you're gonna
Pierre,
have to play some man though. I
oh,
mean, there's
sure.
not like you're not like you're gonna, but the predominant probably needs to be zone.
Yeah,
You get in third down situations, depending on down and distance, then maybe you look at some instances in there. But yeah, you don't want to turn your back on Mahomes, because
right.
that guy take off and run with the football.
Problem for Pittsburgh is they're a better man team than a zone team, and that is the
Hmm.
challenge, unfortunately. Pierre Devate on my bucket list to meet you, Alex, at training camp whenever COVID is over. Missed meeting you in 2018. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I just can't wait to get back out to training camp. Hopefully, I can do that for 2021. We'll see. I guess there's no guarantee, but that is certainly my goal. So if you're there, then we can certainly say hello. Mike Adesso, I think what's confusing is the Steelers Twitter actually tweeted out that Connor, Canada, and Smith were positive, but only mentioned Tuitt, Hawkins, and Bugs were on the COVID list. Did the Steelers announce that they were positive? I don't think they did.
No,
I know with
I'll,
Canada and Smith, they said they will not coach because of an illness, but they did not
right.
technically say COVID positive. But I
I'll
guess that is
scroll
the
through it.
implication. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't know if something in the write up about Connor that he tested positive. I don't believe they said that. I guess you could infer that more with Smith in Canada. Uh, but maybe you're wrong.
The official link says Steelers placed Connor on reserve COVID list.
Okay.
At no point does it say that he tested positive.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now obviously the media people, Brooke Pryor, I think, one of them,
Aditi was the Connor story.
or Aditi said she confirmed it, but the team is not going to confirm it to any of those people.
Hmm. Axel Martin, who's the starting running back? It will be Benny Snell. Mark Leslie says, "What's one game you suggest I go back and watch tomorrow on Game Pass? Could be the Chiefs Bucks game, a couple minutes of the Broncos game to watch Hinton and just kind of what happened there, considering how unusual it was." And Paul Scherf says, "How can we turn this into a funny end zone celebration?" That's a good one. Hopefully, Juju's working on it right now. Tyler Giacomo says, "Odd Steelers Ravens just turns into Thursday night football at this point. Hopefully, no more postponements because I don't really think you could postpone it any extra days."
I mean, you're already into by playing on Wednesday. You're well into week 12,
Hmm.
or week 13. I'm sorry, of the season. There, I mean, it's unprecedented game on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, yeah. Again, first time. There's only there was a game in 2012 to open. I think 2012, the Cowboys and Giants played on a Wednesday. Something about Obama's DNC speech, and they moved the game. But that's been the only other game played on a Wednesday since like 1948, I
And
believe.
that started the season. That
Right,
one in 2012, right?
right. It was the first game of the year, so it was kind of an unusual situation in the first place. Instead of a Thursday night game, I guess they just did a Wednesday night game to begin the season. A couple more questions from Chris. Any thoughts on how many days the Steelers will practice going into the Washington game? That's a good question. Man, I don't even know. I mean, you would have Thursday come in for treatment, maybe practice Friday,
They wouldn't
Saturday,
do
Sunday.
much on Friday anyway.
Yeah.
Friday would be I mean, look, you would do Saturday would probably be the day that you practice. Probably one day of real practice for the
Hmm.
team would be on Saturday because they would do a walkthrough probably on Sunday, and
Right.
then the game obviously hopefully on Monday there. So how much would they do on Saturday on a short week?
Not a lot because they're just trying to rest up and get ready for this game.
Right.
Mike also asked Tomlin Thursday or Friday. Yeah, I don't even know when the Tomlin pressure is going to be. Probably on Friday, I guess.
It
Two
would
days
be the
after.
day after the game. The Tomlin will speak after the game on Wednesday. Obviously,
Right.
his press conference he'll probably have one Thursday morning as well too.
Okay. There you go.
I would guess.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday, but probably a short week, probably Thursday. Ty Britt 1829. Last question here. Percentage of snaps for Snell versus McFarland. I'll
At least
say
75, I would think. At
yeah, I was
least.
thinking 70-30. Probably my guess. Somewhere around there is my guess. We'll see. All right, guys, that will do it for today's live stream. As always, thank you for being here. Again, no live stream next Monday because obviously that is now the Steelers Washington game. So next one will probably be 2 weeks from now, or maybe we'll try something later in the week. I'm not quite sure, but we'll of course on this channel be recapping all these games and previewing them and doing film breakdowns and all those kinds of things as well. So thank you guys for being here in the chat. So many people donating super chats and really appreciate that. Thank you guys for asking questions. And Dave Bryan, as always, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Peace and love. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, stay safe, guys. Enjoy the games, and we will talk to you soon.